Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Janex.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Rufai and I were just playing around just now.
Sorry.
Did they catch me on camera?
No.
Rufai.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm sorry, Angie. I
no
was trying
worries,
to help
no worries. How are you? That was a fantastic interview you guys had. Dr. Abati, great. Good morning to you.
Morning, OG.
Perfect. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, former President Donald Trump on Monday again attacked President Joe Biden's response to Russia's war in Ukraine when he called into Stuart Burney's Fox Business show, claiming the war would have never started under his administration. He also claimed that he will threaten Russia with nuclear submarines if he were still president.
You say you want to do more than just the MiG jets or the Javelins. Yeah. What more?
Well, I think the drones are just as effective as anything nowadays. I mean, they make drones today. We have drones that are just as effective as just about anything in the air, anything you can do in the air.
In Russia, a court banned Facebook and Instagram on Monday, labeling its parent company Meta as extremists amid Moscow's sweeping crackdown on Western social media giants. Facebook and Twitter have been inaccessible in the country since early March, and Instagram was blocked last week. In Mali, former Prime Minister Somelu Bobei Magia, who was arrested over corruption allegations in 2021, died of an undisclosed illness in a hospital on Monday. The former Prime Minister was detained in August over his suspected role in the purchase of a presidential plane during the rule of ex-President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Magia was charged with multiple counts of graft and was awaiting trial before his death. He was 68 years old. Under sports, Manchester City on Monday topped the Deloitte Football Money League for the first time as the world's highest revenue-generating club in a 2020-21 season affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Premier League champions and current leaders are only the fourth club to top the Money League after Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Manchester United. Finally, under entertainment, a famous image of Marilyn Monroe, created by Andy Warhol, is on track to become the most expensive 20th century artwork ever auctioned. The silk screen image, known as Shot Sage Blue Marilyn, is expected to sell for around $200 million at auction house Christie's. Well, let's begin what's trending in Kaduna State, where more than 23 people are reported to have been killed by gunmen in 3 communities in the state. Well, according to eyewitness reports, the attack occurred around 7 p.m. on Sunday. Several people were also said to have been injured, and about 70 houses burnt down by the terrorists. Well, our Rise correspondent, Nasir Gabriel, spoke to some of the victims. Here's what they had to say.
I was just witnessing the burial of my cousin and my stepmother. He didn't just die naturally. It was caused by a massacre that happened. Many houses are burned. Even my stepmother here, she was born beyond recognition, and my first son. Suddenly, we had a gunshot around Aden area, and then within the 10 minutes, we had another gunshot around coming from Zuni area. Before we could know it, we were all overwhelmed.
They go into communities unprovoked, premeditated, into communities that are that are defenseless, vulnerable, and they attack them oftentimes by night, and sometimes even take over the communities and settle there. And the government does nothing about it. So that is what we have been going through in Southern Kaduna.
Well, some Nigerians have taken to Twitter using the hashtag Kagoro Massacre to demand justice for the victims and to call out the state's governor, Nasir El-Rufai. Well, let's take this tweet from Iko Mari, who wrote, El-Rufai, why have you allowed these killings in Kaduna State go unabated? What do the assailants want? For how long will these madness continue? Why has the government done nothing to stop these killings? How do you people sleep at night? Hashtag Kagoro Massacre. Well, in the meantime, the Kaduna State government has declared a 24-hour curfew in Jema'a and Kaura Local government areas of the state. The curfew, which took effect on Monday, according to the state's Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, is to assist security agencies stabilize the situation in the areas and to restore law and order. Tunde Abiola, a lot of people have used that hashtag, even to claim that this is some sort of, religious, ethnic genocide cleansing. I mean, they are calling out the state governor at this point. It is so unfortunate that these people have to die because there's not enough security in the areas. There are 3 different local government areas. I'm not sure why they chose to secure just these 2 local government areas at this point. But it's so, so sad. If you had seen those videos, I can't even play half of them. I mean, these people, children, women, killed by these terrorists.
I could never watch the videos, but even just reading the reports is devastating enough. Whole families wiped out. And I read how these gunmen had arrived in the evening and really took their time, meaning that there was no fear that any security agency was going to come and rescue these people. That's what that suggests to me. And yes, of course, this is sectarian violence. It's always been. Unfortunately, this South Kaduna massacres have been a part of our national history for almost as long as I can remember. For most of my lifetime, I've been hearing about this. And it boils down to this indigene settler dichotomy. And to go to that tweet that you just shared, what is the governor doing? The governor's approach is to try and move beyond indigent settler, which is really extremely backward, let's face it. So the fact of the matter is the people of southern Kaduna, the mostly Christian, predominantly Christian southern Kaduna, there are like 30 ethnic groups that are there. Northern Kaduna is mostly Hausa Fulani and mostly Muslim. But you do have Hausa Fulani settlers in southern Kaduna. And those settlers have been there for centuries. But they are not the actual owners, if I could use that word, of the land. The ancestral lands belong to the Christian population who are guarding their land quite jealously. You know how we feel in this country about ancestral land, and the idea that anybody wants to come and usurp your land is really reprehensible to a lot of people. So that's what I'm referring to when I say the indigent settler dichotomy. However, Governor El-Rufai has tried to move forward, and he wants a common citizenship, that all residents of Kaduna, wherever you're from, should have equal rights. Yeah. That sounds very good, it sounds very modern to me, but there are people in southern Kaduna that are resistant to that idea, because for them, there's such a lack of trust at this point that they feel that that's another a ploy to enslave them and to steal that all-important land. So it's about resources, it's about land, it's about ethnic identity, it's about pride. And then so you have these bursts of violence. And you just read now that the police has restored law and order. And I thought, well, thank God, but for how long? When is the next one? Because there will be a next time, unfortunately. You're going to get reprisal attacks, you're going to get more killings until we can actually find a permanent solution once and for all. And it boils down to trust.
It does. Dr. Abati.
Okay, conflict in southern Kaduna has been a self-fulfilling prophecy from as far back as 1944, when problem first erupted in the Zango Kataf community, between the Atiap community and then the people who were considered settlers. And the people who are considered settlers, the Hausa Fulani community, they insist that they too have been in that territory for more than centuries. So you have Zango Kataf, Atiap, Hausa Fulani conflict. Now you have this conflict in Kaura local government, in Adan, in Maraban, Agban, and in, Agban communities, resulting in the death of 23 persons, the destruction of over 70 houses. And that's why I say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because this problem has been there forever. And as Tuno pointed out, the issues are ethnicity, religion, and attachment to land, and also cattle. Because on the other side, you hear stories about cattle being rustled and all of that, and another community being, affected. And then, of course, there's the issue of nationalism at the, micro level. And it raises the larger question. Why is it that Nigeria has not been able to find a formula, a framework for managing inter-ethnic conflicts, religious or even intra-religious conflict. Whether it is Ife Modakeke, Ife people fighting Modakeke people, or Aguleri, Umuleru people fighting over a border, or the people of Zango Kataf fighting themselves, or the people of Kaura Local government, or in Plateau State, where we also have the Plateau perpetually on the board. Now, if the purpose of government is to provide security for the people, this is yet another illustration that government has failed seriously over the years in this particular regard. It's not a problem created by the Buhari administration. It's been there since colonial times. So the question that you derive from that is Nigeria truly a nation where the people have resolved to live together? Clearly not. Okay? Now, the other issues that you can take from this will be, one, where are the security agencies? Why are they always negligent?
I don't understand.
I mean, if people started attacking a community at 7 p.m., and they went on and on and on and on and on for hours without end, and security agencies will not emerge, then, of course, there's some kind of complicity that you can establish. There's some kind of impunity that you can establish. So this complicity is part of the problem. The impunity of the perpetrators of violence is part of the problem. But when are we going to find a solution to this? So it raises the issue of unity. So Nigerians, they are not united. We are more divided today than we were at any other time in history, whether colonial or post-colonial. And that's why we keep saying that, look, we keep postponing the evil day. Thief riots, we talked about thief riots in those days.
Yes.
Today we're talking about Southern Kaduna, riots. Before it, Matasine, and all kinds of conflicts across the country. So for us to have stability, for us to have smooth development, whoever is going to lead Nigeria will have to find a solution.
Absolutely.
To these centrifugal, forces that divide us: ethnicity, religion, distrust, and the simple fact that Nigerians are not Nigerians. They are, ethnic champions, persons who are locked in a primordial capsule of existence instead of moving to a modern situation whereby, the operative principle should be that we all see ourselves as Nigerians and as one people, one nation, united by one agenda. In that regard, I'm trying to parody, Soludo's agenda in Anambra State.
Well said, Dr. Abati. This morning, there's reports over 100 houses burned. Over 26 people. That's the report from this morning.
The question is, who pays for all the loss of lives? Nobody. And you see, we have this primordial sentiment. Let's not deceive ourselves. I mean, it was very indicative when Chief Obafemi Awolowo was talking about Nigeria and enunciated the fact about a geographical expression. And it also goes back to the point, Maximilian Zeglu raised, that he says we have built Italy, but it's time for us to build Italians. The question is, we've built Nigeria, but have we built Nigerians? I mean, Dr. Abati gave a classical and very, very, well thought out speech on that just now to show the fact that we have not really built Nigerians. We've built ethnic champions. And it's even indicative in an electoral process. That's why in 2022, we are still saying Christian South, Muslim North. And somebody gets voted based on the case of his ethnicity. And when you see all of this, the violence is pervasive. It's good you mentioned Ife Amudakeke. Ife Amudakeleke was first recorded to have a clash in 1835. 1835. From 1835 to the year 2000 clash, we've had 7 different clashes in Ife Amudakeke. In fact, there was one that happened in the early 1900s about building a mosque. You talked about Zango Kataf. The colonial officer have walked and walked. I remember that particular report. It's there at the National Archive in Ibadan. How the colonial officers walked on the Zango Kataf report, bringing peace. There was another work done on it in 46. There was another done on 48. There was another work done on it in 50. But till today, we've not reached amicable solution. What about the Yorubas and Hausa constant uprising, the one that happened in Shagamu in 1998? So where you see everywhere pockets of violence, but it goes back to leadership. And that's why the governor must step in.
Yeah,
we must not take sides in this
really
fight.
Come under fire.
We must not take sides in this fight. The governor must step in. Because some people will argue that this religious thing is so rife in Kaduna, and that's why they even rotate the governorship among themselves. If it's a Christian today, there must be a Muslim the next time. So they have that plan working for them in Kaduna. But some will argue that since some leader got in there, it's got worse off. And we cannot build a society this way. We must be able to resolve this once and for all. I don't feel that this crisis should be wiser or smarter than any person out there. We must come together. If possible, we must be able to glean from the knowledge of the likes of the Bode George and how they resolve the Ife-Modakeke crisis. We must be able to glean from the knowledge of how they resolve the Ijo and Ishekiri crisis. In Delta State too, that lasted for so many years. But something must be done. Zango Kataf can't constantly be a hellhole and everybody looks at it. While people are dying. Oh, did you know what it means for 23 people to die?
They're saying over
I can't see when you...
Children.
If you
They
kill,
really took their time.
Children.
yeah, if you kill a chicken in front of me, Oji, I wouldn't eat it. Because of the barbarity of spilling blood, let alone 23 human beings and Nigerians died for nothing. And the reason why they died is because their country failed them. Because they are Nigerians. So leadership must do something. And that's why 2023 must matter. We must have a leader that can truly unite Nigeria. Because Nigerians are not united.
May their souls rest in peace. We'll take another story with this video showing some indigents of Ile-Ife in Osun State occupying the Obafemi Awolowo University in protest over the appointment of a new vice-chancellor of the institution. The indigents were reported to have invaded the campus with charms and other fetish objects, blocking 2 major gates on Monday and denied staff and students entry into the university. Well, let's take a look at this video before we come back for a discussion. I have never seen anything so bizarre in my time. Tundra Abiola, I mean, what was going on there? You know, what angered me was that they actually were violent. Apparently, the reports are saying that some students were injured during this protest.
Yes, and students and staff were beaten, apparently.
Yes.
Because the gate had been locked, so they wanted to guard... No, 2 gates had been locked, apparently, yeah.
It's been going on since Thursday.
You have a theme this morning, OG, because the issue with Professor Bamire, in spite of his qualifications, his experience, what have you, is that he's from the wrong place. This is who we are as a country. So that's why I said the theme has emerged this morning. He's also from Osun State, by the way, but from a different part of Osun State, from those protesting would prefer. That's how ridiculous. With all his awards, that's what it boils down to. With the fact that due process was followed in his selection. There were applicants who were screened, and it was all vetted by Federal Character Commission and what have you. This is what we're seeing. And this is even the ivory tower of academia, that most rarefied of atmospheres. And we're seeing vandalism, we're seeing assault, and we're seeing charms. And it's just like what you were saying in the previous story, which is so tragic. This has a comical element to it, but the theme is still very clear that we're just not united. I'm even thinking about myself. I mean, I have friends from all over the world, and you get into your little spats. You have friends, different genders, different sexual orientation. I have never been called a racial slur or an ethnic slur in my life, apart from by fellow Nigerians.
No.
It is Nigerians. Yes, we have a problem. We have a problem.
Okay, what is the idea of a university? John Henry Newman, in his book, The Idea of a University, says the word university is derived from the word universitas. Universitas means the universe, a place where people can come together without discrimination for the purpose of learning, a global community. Now, the tragedy that we have seen in Nigeria is that the gown is now is beginning to look like the town. There used to be this idea of town and the gown as a place of rarefied intellectual accomplishment. But now, even touts have entered the university environment in Nigeria. What is the problem in Ife? On March 17, Professor Adebayo Simeon Bamishe, Professor of Agriculture from Odo-Otin local government in Osun State, the same state, was appointed the 16th Vice Chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo University, a university that graduates used to refer to as the best university in Africa. That I used to find that irritating because Ife graduates tend to be very arrogant about what they think is the beauty and accomplishments of their university. But today, in 2022, that same university has become an embarrassment to the graduates of the great Ife, as they refer to their university. Fetish offerings, what Yorubas call ebo, ritual offerings are being carried all over the place. Professors are threatening. There's one Afolabi that they said, March 17 said, nobody should come to the place because they will bring charms and they will deal with anybody. And that's supposed to be a person in a university environment. And what is the problem? If indigents, as they call themselves, have been saying that for 61 years that university had existed, nobody from Ife community had been vice chancellor. There's a laid-down procedure for appointing a vice chancellor by management and council and by the approval of the visitor. And the university is saying we have followed the process. But the Ife indigents in the campus are saying, no, there's an Ife indigent on the list, number 9, after the assessment. And that is the person that should be vice chancellor. So they've reduced the university to the level of the village. They said the vice chancellor must come from Ife or from Ikpetumudu or from Modakeke. Now, even if you take somebody from Ikpetumudu, the people of Modakeke will not agree. If you take from Modakeke, the people of Ife will say we are superior to the people of Modakeke and Ikpetumudu. So, this takes you even beyond the university environment. It raises questions about this idea of the Yoruba nation. People feeling superior, even at the micro level, to one another. If, I'm an Egba man, but, if I see somebody from northern Yoruba land, I'm likely to say, this person is an Araoke.
Araoke.
So, so when people say they will succeed, from Nigeria, there are also issues at the sub-national level.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about the fact that, Nigerians, no matter how educated they may be, they will end up behaving like villagers. And it's not only at the Obafemi Awolowo University that this has happened. It has happened before now at the University of Ibadan, where the people have been clamoring that an Ibadan man should be made. Do people become professors or academics because of the village that they come from? In the University of Benin, at the time, this was also the major issue. Academics say, no, only a Benin man can become a vice chancellor. And it all just speaks to the rot in the Nigerian system, the collapse of values, and the fact that the gown is no longer a place of intellection. The gown, too, is a place where you have area boys, you have touts, and you have, persons who return to primordial times, and they carry a fetish, and they brought occultists to the campus.
Yes.
And what kind of example is that you are setting for the young students within the environment? And then we now be complaining about occultism, about cultism on campuses. This is almost a validation. And every graduate, every alumnus of the Obafemi Awolowo University should be thoroughly embarrassed because their great affair is not looking so great at this moment.
Charms of fetish objects. I mean,
it's very good, Dr.
village?
It's very good you should fire that shot because a lot of Ife people, and I've met quite of them, pride themselves as great Ife. I'm sorry with this, great Ife is not great. It is a shame. It is shambolic. Ife used to be known as the College of Liberal Ideas, liberal stimulating ideas. These were part of the university setup at the emergence of Nigeria. And these universities were to push forward the unity of Nigeria. There was also another one set up in the East called the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, which was deliberate, modeled after American university system. But with this, it shows how shambolic we are as a people. Let's not deceive ourselves. We are tribal bigots. It's always about our own, and it affects us everywhere, even in the church. You'll be surprised. Tell people to do a common leadership election in the church, you'll see how sentiment goes. It is sad. But we shouldn't do this to ourselves because we have shining beacons everywhere. You talked about University of Ibadan, Dr. Abati. That same University of Ibadan, I once saw recently a photo of Nnamdi Azikiwe walking Professor Decay as a vice chancellor of that university.
Decay.
That was a bright moment in Nigeria where an Igbo man could excel and do well as a vice chancellor at the University of Ibadan. This was the same country where the citizens loved and appreciated the fact that they had a Fulani mayor in Enugu, Atini Umoru. What is wrong with Nigeria? Because all of this is showing you what is wrong with Nigeria.
It's a really sad story.
And all of this goes back to who we are. What was the reason of the fight between Obafemi Awolowo and Ladoke Akintola? To use the word, I don't want to bring in a tribal card, but as an Ijebu man, they still looked at Ijebu people as lesser Yoruba people. And that's why no matter how successful Awolowo was, Awolowo will never ever win election as the Ibadan Municipal Council. They played that politics year on year in the 50s in this country.
Well, the Ijebus were great traders. They controlled the trading routes
and they still
Lagos
play that politics till date. So where are we going to in this country? And it's a good thing, Dr. Bas, you brought forward the question of the Yoruba nation people, because this was the same question. This was the same thing we kept on telling them.
Yeah. Eventually.
That it is when you start now, you will remember that,
they're different.
Ijebu and Ogbomoso don't see eye to eye. They will say, why should you call us around? Okay.
No,
we can't build Nigeria this way.
So backward.
Very backward.
All right,
well, don't worry.
Shall we?
You are of the Egba stock.
Proudly so. But I'm also half Ijebu. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much.
We shall take our final story, highlighting what appears to be an ongoing menace. Ever so often, we come across news of tragic accidents involving containers crashing vehicles and killing passengers. Well, here is a video showing an unlatched container conveyed on a truck with missing wheels. Let's take a look. Apparently, this happened in Kaduna State, I believe the report stated. The person that sent me this video was asking, where are the custom officers? Where are the VIOs? Where are the police officers? Look, I don't know how long this truck was traveling for, but how can this happen in Nigeria?
You know, when I was watching the video, I thought maybe my eyes were deceiving me. I was like, what is this? I don't know much about physics, but it seems to be defying the laws of gravity. This is completely bonkers. And the song playing in the background is actually really apt. You really do have a theme this morning. He's playing Imagine by John Lennon.
Yeah.
And that's a song about peace. Imagine a world without borders. Imagine a world without religion, nothing to kill or die for. And you're looking at this picture of this truck, which just really illustrates the dystopia that we're living in. And then you have that song playing in the background. The message is really quite clear for me. I don't know how we survive here. It's actually a miracle. It's a total miracle. What is this?
Well, what I think of is Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes in his commentary on the State of Nation, where he says life is short, nasty, and brutish. And Nigeria today would seem to be a perfect demonstration, illustration, confirmation of Thomas Hobbes' submissions. The counterpoint to that is that states emerge because, people impose order, law and order, rule of law, a pattern of behavior, such that you can differentiate between animals and human beings. And what we find here is a gradual regression. People behaving like animals. Nigerians living in a chaotic environment, nasty, brutish. You said this is in Kaduna. Look, Kaduna is too far away. Things like this, you see them on the streets of Lagos.
Of course, it's constant.
On large containers with drunken drivers.
It's ongoing.
People who are sold on heavy dose of cannabis or whatever drugs that they take, whether tramadol or whatever, and they call themselves the kings of the road. Mm-hmm. Look, as a rule, once I see one of these trailers, I just ask the driver, please park. Let these mad people go first.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is the story of Nigeria. Pure lawlessness, crazy people, drug addiction, because who in his right mind will put that kind of vehicle on the road? Have you not seen many accidents on the streets of Lagos, on the expressway, where these unlatched containers will just tip over?
This is the story. That's why you get the accidents.
On top of vehicles,
that's the main,
and people will just die.
Reason.
And on top of it, you will see another set of animals who will carry their small phones. All these small cheap phones. I'll be taking videos.
A cheap phone.
They will take video.
Yeah, instead of them to rush the person to the hospital.
There's a problem about humanism in this environment.
Everybody wants to
and they will post it immediately. That's more important to them than the fact that we're living in a dysfunctional environment.
I even thought that man was brave because he was close to the truck filming. Did you see the man? I mean,
there was one of those animals.
Well, that's how we got the video, Doctor.
Okay.
With that cheap phone.
You see, if there's any word harder than dystopia, I think we're already there. We have lost completely a national ethos. And increasingly, I'd like to ask the question, do we still have a nation? And maybe Chinua Achebe was apt in that his book, the last gift he gave to us before he passed, that there was a nation, there was a country. Because you see, nations have ethos. What makes up the Nigerian dream? What makes up the Nigerian persona? Here, it is a high level of madness. It is the same madness that will make a lady take petrol and be sharing in a party in an event center. And the fact that people can go scot-free with it. I would like to argue sometimes that maybe because we've been oppressed, like Frantz Fanon says that the oppressed people will only oppress other people. But at the same time,
that's Paulo Freire, pedagogy of the oppressed.
So at the same time, I would also want to say no. There are other people that have been oppressed, but they still have a modicum of common sense. But here we don't even have common sense at all. Most importantly, sometimes you think that there should be a social contract, like Jean-Jacques Rousseau talks about, between the government and the people. But here, it is not evident. Nothing is happening. There is no social contract. There is just a high level of madness. People can do anything that pleases them. The leadership class press and trample on the poor. This country, you are on your own. No rights, no civility, and it's just a madhouse. The question is, how long can we sustain this internal combustion? Because you see, Nigeria has become like an internal combustion engine.
That's what it is at this point.
And at the same time, you know what we're doing? We are adding fuel to it. Because a fuel is any substance that once heats to its ignition temperature continues to burn without any external support. So we keep adding fuel to it with our narrative, with not calling public officials out, with not doing the right thing ourselves as Nigerians. We keep adding fuel to it. And as you know about internal combustion engines, when all of these parameters continue for a while, there's something called, in local parlance, the engine has knocked.
that means it can revolve and oscillate again to be able to provide the necessary things for the car to move. We are well on our way to knocking this Nigerian engine if we continue this way. And that's why, please, I beg everybody, I beg the leadership, let us fix this country. It is blessed, it has potential, it can be great. But when we continue like this, I hope we are not going to be taking the stairways to heaven very soon.
No, there has to
like
be some type of punishment to go with a behavior like that.
Oji, nothing will happen because when you investigate who owns the truck,
it is one billionaire.
It is one billionaire that owns the truck.
I couldn't believe what I was saying.
It has to stop. Didn't we just have an interview with a girl that died underneath the container last week? Last year. I remember that interview.
Oji,
horrible.
Oji, please
it's unfair.
Check an
that
audit.
driver is going to get somebody killed.
No, there needs to be a law against this. This is absolutely unacceptable.
Please take an audit of how many trucks working in Nigeria that their brakes are working.
Exactly.
Come and take an audit.
Exactly.
I know somebody who lost her.
Well,
thank
all right.
you, Chineka.
Thank you all again for your beautiful analysis.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.